Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And on today's Going In Raw news brief, we head back into the Impact Zone. The WWE is building an actual Hall of Fame. We preview AEW and NXT. But first, has WWE hit rock bottom yet again? Larson, what's in the news?
So, Steve, I don't know if you remember this, but it was just about 2 years ago that we witnessed firsthand, live, from the Golden One Center here in Sacramento, that the McMahons were set to launch a new era for WWE. It was one where we, WWE Universe, were the authority.
I remember that a lot better than I do CM Punk and Vince McMahon having a match where Vince McMahon was saved by Ryback 5 years ago.
Yeah, so it was to be an era of fresh matchups and fresh talent. An era of no title rematches. An era which kicked off with the public humiliation, yet again, of Baron Corbin after he lost his title of acting general manager of Raw. And of course, the reason for all of this was that Raw's ratings had slipped to 2.193 million viewers just the week before on December 10th. Ooh. At the time, the lowest non-holiday number in the show's history. But here we are. Let's fast forward to 2020, almost 2 years to the day. Tomorrow will be 2 years to the day of that show. And Raw's ratings have hit a new all-time low.
Wow.
Including holiday numbers. 1.53 million viewers for this past Monday's episode. And not only is it the worst viewership number the show has ever gotten, this week's episode of Raw posted a lower number in that all-important 18 to 49 demo than last week's Dynamite. All 3 hours.
Ooh, don't bring that up to the NXT stands.
It's information. They can try to argue the facts. These are facts.
Stop the rating.
Raw's ratings are in the toilet. SmackDown's doing okay. They typically have around 2 million, which for this day and age is actually pretty decent. Raw, not so much. So what is WWE going to do about it? WrestleVotes may have some insight. They tweeted out the following after Raw's viewership numbers were released, quote, talking to a source just now who said the record low Raw rating news isn't sitting well with those in power to a point where they expect some reactionary decisions to be made. Time will tell, of course. You know, the whole McMahon shakeup thing 2 years back, reactionary move. They promised all this stuff. And at moments, at periods, they seem to actually follow through on some of the stuff they did. But by and large, all the bad habits they had at that point continued. They brought a bunch of people from NXT, didn't know how to use them. Months later, they thought, well, we'll bring up more people from NXT, didn't know how to use them. Aleister Black sat in a room for a year. It was a mess, an absolute mess. And ratings have been on a steep decline for the better part of the last 2 years.
Yeah, we did like a modicum of research prior to this. And I mean, they've been on the decline since, for a very long time now.
Yes.
But
more steeply over the last couple of years.
Yeah, like it's interesting. We were going back and looking. You can look back at going back years and years, and there in 2016. If you look at their ratings, there are multiple ratings reports you can look at, sort of a summary of the ratings in 2016. They went over 4 million viewers a handful of times in 2016. They went over that number multiple times in 2015. But yeah, you can see a steady decline. But there are periods of time that you can inspect throughout the years where you can see a rapid shed of viewers. Just when we were looking at 2018's numbers, you can see a pretty drastic drop off of around 500,000 between Mania and SummerSlam in 2018. That period of time saw a drastic number of viewer drop, and they never really recovered from that. But then it just keeps on going down and down. So 1 year after the McMahon shakeup, 2019, December of 2019, they once again posted, this was, let's see here, December. So yeah, the same time, mid-December, they drew an average of 2.053 million. That was for probably the 15th or 16th of December. So,
they've lost 500,000 viewers since then.
They've lost a 500,000 viewers.
And now
since
2020 has been a year which has featured several record lows for Raw, especially. SmackDown is on the larger network, Fox. They've actually had some pretty decent creative from time to time on SmackDown, especially now with the Roman Reigns thing going. Raw at moments will have good stuff. There's always stuff on Raw you can enjoy. The problem is it's 3 hours. It's too long. It's a slog to get through. Even a good episode of Raw can feel like a slog to get through because it's so dang long.
Yeah.
It's on the creative front, not consistent enough. So if it's a situation where they see these numbers, you know, and one of the reasons they wanted to, they came up with the Thunderdome, where they thought, okay, we'll do the best we can to replicate a live event feel with the crowd. And, you know, barring actually having fans there, I don't know what else they could do in that respect. But obviously that's not the fix they hoped it might be, or if not the fix, something that could keep ratings from declining further until they have fans back at shows. So knowing Vince, knowing how, especially the last few years, he books, if they're thinking about some reactionary moves, it's all going to be stuff to pop things in the short term, nothing to actually address the actual issues that plague WWE as a television production.
Let me ask you something
from
real
the
quick.
creative side of things.
Creatively speaking, what is a superior show, Raw or SmackDown?
SmackDown.
Yeah, by far, right?
Yeah.
So
close.
last year at this time, SmackDown had a total viewership of 2.1 million. I'm sorry. That's this year. So this was this past SmackDown, right? 2.1 million. Last year at the same time, 2.34 million. That sounds to me like a more realistic drop for the COVID thing. You know, like all you're losing there really is about, you know, it's a
couple 100,000.
A couple 100,000.
It's about a little bit less than 10% of your audience.
To what is that? 230. Yeah, that's 230 million.
Also
I'm sorry, 230,000.
About 10% of your audience. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's not that terrible.
No, whereas Raw has dropped about a quarter of its audience, from 2 million to about 1.5 million.
Yeah. You know, dude, these days, especially these days, and you can point to things, you can absolutely point to things like the fact that on any given Monday, you can go to Twitch and see multiple streams of Raw there. You can see multiple streams of Raw on YouTube. You can see highlights ripped for YouTube. You can see WWE posting their programming on Twitter as well. There are absolutely multiple avenues to keep up with the product without watching the show. The problem is, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the more than that, the problem is people don't feel like they need to keep up with the product. How many times in our audience who watch Going in Raw? Anecdotally, people say, you know, I'll paraphrase, I'm happy you guys watch Raw so I don't have to.
Yeah.
They'll watch our recaps to stay, you know, up to date on what's going on without having to watch the show itself. Maybe they'll, and I think of late, you know, it's reflected in the performance of our videos.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't think there's a whole lot of enthusiasm for WWE's product right now.
Totally. And here's the funny thing, you can look across the wrestling YouTube landscape, because I will dip in on our various friendos across the wrestling landscape, and you know, plenty of their videos do well when they focus on legacy stuff, on old stuff, on interesting stuff. But you know, recapping the week in wrestling, it's they're not producing anything on Raw anyways that is all that compelling. SmackDown has some very interesting things going on. Roman Reigns in particular is like the most interesting thing they got going on right now.
Right now, main roster television, they have 5 hours of TV a week, and they have one consistently compelling storyline, and that's Roman Reigns. Over 5 hours.
Yeah. For a spell, you could say, you know, Sasha and Bayley.
Definitely over the summer, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, SmackDown has been a fairly entertaining show, and it helps a lot that it's only 2 hours. You know, it really does. 3 hours, dude, there's too much competition these days, and it ain't getting any better for them, given that, like, you know, Disney's Investor Day, they've got like 10 different Star Wars properties, the majority of which are on Disney Plus coming up over the next 2 years. They've got at least 10 they have 17, because I counted them the other day in my video.
Wow.
17 properties between movies and Disney Plus shows. The majority of those are Disney Plus shows.
Wow.
HBO Max is pumping billions into new programming. Netflix, billions. Amazon Prime, billions. There's too much stuff out there for you not to be producing compelling TV. And on top of that, now you got AEW.
And also coming up here in the next couple months, you got, sooner than that, you got the return of the NBA.
Yeah.
They're back.
That's always been a thing, yeah.
Yeah, you got football. Like the game on Monday night looked like it was really darn good. Probably way better than anything that happened on Raw.
Yeah.
You got hockey coming back within the next month or two as well. There's going to be a lot of competition, short term and, as you mentioned, long term, for people's viewing, television viewing habits. And if WWE, especially on Raw, is not going to bring forth anything that's compelling, they're not going to be able to compete.
And it's the one WWE is so unique because I know, like AEW, they just debuted, whenever, a year ago, whatever, change, 15 months ago, whatever.
About 14 months ago, yeah.
So they're here now. But prior to AEW, you had the one show that did the one thing that is widely available across the world. Wrestling, WWE is wrestling, And with any other TV show, or if a movie during production things are going, they replace the head of creative and they bring in somebody new. They can't do that with WWE because Vince McMahon's not going to step aside. And the bottom line is this bad creative is squarely on him. Yep. Everything goes through him.
Well, another aspect of it is not just that he is unwilling to step aside. He probably feels like he's unable to because he is so synonymous with WWE. And if he were to step aside, what impact that would have on the stock price of the company?
Well, yeah, but dude, come on. You got to think that there's ways.
Short term, not to say it could rebound long term with better product,
It's not this. It's he doesn't have to step aside. I don't think the stock price, he could step aside without really making a big to-do about it. When I say step aside, I mean just stop looking at the scripts. Let somebody else be your showrunner and have that filter up and have that run. I mean, I honestly don't know. I don't know if the stockholders think that Vince McMahon, as long as he's running the company, even if it's in a figurehead role, I don't think it would affect the stock price that much.
I don't know.
I just, if they made a big to-do about I'm leaving and these people are stepping forward, all he has to do is not be the bottleneck. That's all he's got to do,
Well, I mean, I don't know if it would necessarily have an impact on the stock price, but thinking that might be part of his mentality. If people don't think I'm as involved as what I am, it might adversely affect the bottom line of the company.
His mentality is probably, if I'm not the bottleneck, you'll see how bad the ratings can get. Like he probably thinks that he's the only thing keeping it over. What I don't know. I don't know what he thinks because he's like in his mid 70s and he's Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
I don't know what that mindset is, but clearly something is broken, and there are totally ways to fix it. I think there's ways where you can have your cake and eat it too. You can pop ratings while setting the table for a long-term solutions for your product. Now,
if they bring say Goldberg in to set this match with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. We don't know exactly what's going to happen with Sting and AEW, and maybe it's unfair to make this comparison. But based on what we've seen, AEW has used legends to get active roster members over. That's the goal. They bring in Jake Roberts to help out with Lance Archer. Not that Cody needed any help. They bring in Arn, to be a presence with Cody. They're not the focal point. They're there to help get their respective clients over.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Sting will be there. He'll be actively involved, but he's not going to go and beat Darby Allin for the TNT title. It doesn't seem to be AEW's mentality. They bring these legends in to put a spotlight on their show so people can be introduced to the stars they're currently making. That, by and large, has not been WWE's mindset. They bring in part-timers and put them in positions where they win things to pop ratings.
Well, what you're
not
also
to build
seeing,
new stars.
What you're also seeing is, you ask yourself, what happens when because they have basically run out of legends to use actively.
Yeah.
This is what happens because you haven't used those legends to prop up the younger stars. You have relied on them, and so your rating that continues to decline. This is the ultimate, and so it's going to be one of those situations where, they're going to be faced with a similar situation to 1995, 1996, where either they're going to be I don't know what the end game is here. It's probably WWE being bought by a different company. To be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, this could be sort of a domino effect. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. We talked about this a year. We literally talked about this a year ago when the new low rating came in a year after the McMahon shakeup, and it was how low can it go before the network, before USA steps in and says, "Hey, this is a bad look, and it ain't getting better." He's got that relationship going back decades.
Yeah.
So I don't know who initiates that conversation. I don't know who does it. But
I don't either. I guess I would assume, I haven't looked into the ratings per se, that Raw would probably still perform just as well, if not better than anything else USA could run at that time.
Sure.
slot.
Yeah.
That being said, they made a heavy investment over the course of 5 years in Raw, and based on the ratings, if they're not getting the ad revenue back, there's going to be some conversations that need to be had, I would assume.
You would think. Who knows? I don't know. But it'll be, again, like I said, probably a year ago, it'll be interesting to see where we're going to be a year from now. If they're struggling to get 1 million, that's where the trajectory. What was it this time around?
1.5.
It was 1.5. It is Larson, it is entirely likely. It is entirely possible, I should say, that struggling to get to 1 million is on the table for a year from now. That's on the table.
Maybe even by next summer.
It's possible. I mean, I think there's probably going to be a boost with fans because there is an element to that does.
Yeah,
add
there
to
is.
it.
I mean, I've mentioned this before. I worry about how many people's viewing habits have changed over the course of the past 9 months.
How many of those people are lost causes?
Well, they're like I've gone this long without watching wrestling. I don't really miss it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there could be people that have that attitude.
Yeah.
There's nothing about WWE that's bringing them back in, so they might not come back.
Yeah. It's crazy to me that
I don't know.
That USA looks at a situation and they say, we've given you this money for, to put NXT on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And, if their metrics were the same as AEW's that Dave Meltzer had mentioned, that 500,000 was a happy number to be at, then maybe they're satisfied pushing 700,000 on a weekly basis with NXT. But if you have anybody there with like a sense of, what they could be doing creatively speaking, when you have NXT, this really, up until AEW came around, a very buzzworthy, and you still have the takeovers, which are very buzzy. You have this product that, is your youth, is your future. And then you basically bring that youth up to the main roster and treat them like dirt. I mean, you'd think that there's somebody there at USA to be like, hey, hold on a second. We're just leaving money on the table, because creatively speaking, they can't get their shit together. It's bizarre. It's a bizarre situation that continues to perpetuate. And I don't know what the end game is. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know.
A couple companies are getting some buzz going. AEW, Impact. So we watched last night's Impact, co-streamed it, had a great time. About 500-600 friendos joined us. Absolute blast. Thank you all who joined us. Conclusion of the show, they set up the main event for Hard to Kill. While it wasn't the expected Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann title bout we were kind of anticipating, we did get something that was still pretty damn exciting. A mini Bullet Club reunion. So at the end of the show, Gallows, Anderson, who had been conversing with Kenny over the course of this episode and Final Resolution last Sunday, joined forces to beat up Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns, and Don Callis used his executive vice president powers to book a 6-man tag match to headline Impact's first pay-per-view of 2021. Fun show. Fun ending, too. So, but will the reunion continue tonight? Machine Gun Carl Anderson teased an appearance on tonight's Dynamite, tweeting, quote, AEW night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Who knows what will happen in Jacksonville?
Ooh, were you surprised at all? I mean, I don't know. It's wrestling outside the WWE is a very interesting thing because Kenny Omega literally said Bullet Club. Bullet Club is owned by New Japan.
Yep.
None of these people are signed to New Japan at this point.
None of them.
So that was interesting to see them go. Now, I don't know, the legalities or if New Japan would step in and be like, whoa, wait a second, that's our trademark. Or if I don't know, dude.
I mean, if it got to the point of them wearing the shirts, yes, they would.
Yeah.
Or use the theme song. Yes, they would.
Yeah.
I would anticipate, could be wrong, would anticipate a whole lot of mentions of Bullet Club. I mean, Carl Anderson threw up a 2 Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
They all did the For Life thing. Allusions, occasional reference, maybe. But I wouldn't expect them. I could be wrong.
What's funny
all
though?
In on
no. I don't
Club
think
stuff,
they will.
You know?
Coming from somebody who's so in tune with the WWE mindset, where they like to erase history, WWE probably could. They probably could when they had Gallows and Anderson and AJ Styles and them. They could have had Michael Cole say, these guys have a long history being part of the famed Bullet Club faction. They could have said that and been fine. Because it's just part of history. You're just referencing something else that happened.
Totally. Yeah.
You're okay to do, you could be okay to do that. But WWE doesn't. They don't do that. And so because if it didn't happen in WWE, it doesn't matter. Even though they did mention IWGP, they say traveling the world. So it's funny to see that. Yeah, they're not going to go. They're not going to wear this. They're not part of Bullet Club anymore. They're not. So why would they wear the shirts now? You know.
I mean, they announced it on Twitter. 2.5 years ago.
Like
2 years ago. Whatever it was.
Yeah, we were all there for that
anymore.
For that exciting moment. But no, this is rad. This is really cool. And yeah, we're totally gonna watch this. But Rest of Impact. Fun show. Tenille Dashwood defeated Alicia Edwards. I got like a 19 and 14 KDR playing one of the Nuketown maps, I think, in Call of Duty. I was doing that during the co-stream, so that's kind of important.
You did. I mean, I guess that's part of the results, I suppose. Chris Bay defeated Manic via DQ after a run-in from Rohit Raju. He had just lost the X Division title to Manic at Final Resolution. So there's a brewing storyline between the three of them. Maybe that'll be the contest at Hard to Kill. Kira Hogan and Tasha Steele defeated Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary. This is part of the Knockouts Tag Team Tournament. Hogan and Steele advanced to the finals. Brian Myers defeated Josh Alexander via DQ after Ethan Page as Karate Man hits the ring.
Whoa, wait a second. Karate Man's Ethan Page?
Yeah.
I thought, had nobody seen these two guys in the same building at the same time before?
You just got to pay attention a little bit.
Is Ethan, well, hold on, is it with Karate Man, is Ethan Page aware that he's Karate Man, or is that like...
He wasn't last night. It didn't seem like he was last night.
That's what I...
Yes. Because what happened is he gets... Brian Myers drives him into the ring post as Ethan Page, member of the North, and then he emerges as Karate Man, hits the ring, hits some kicks on Brian Myers. So he gets to win via DQ. And the main event, fun match between Carl Anderson, Chris Sabin, of course, closing thing. Throughout the show, Kenny was talking a bunch of trash about Rich Swann. He debuted a new look. He's had no shirt on. He had like a jacket or something over on.
Well, yeah, no, he had a dress shirt that was unbuttoned.
That was unbuttoned, but no T-shirt or anything underneath. And he was just talking crap the whole time whenever they go to his bus with Callis. He was pretty funny. And so not quite the title match we were expecting. Maybe they're taking a slow build with that, which if that's the case, great idea. Or maybe they just won't do it. Maybe this is kind of the short-term thing everybody's talking about.
Hey, man.
We'll have Good Brothers pop up on Dynamite tonight. Maybe get a match on Dynamite with them. Kenny will get his tag bout at Hard to Kill, prove that he's the best, and that'll be it. Who knows?
Forgot the best part. Another Tony Schiavone paid advertisement.
Where Schiavone threw a bunch of shade about not being able to find Axis.
Why is Tony Khan withholding all this gold from us on AEW Dynamite, but he's free to do it on Impact?
Here's the thing. I'm happy he doesn't talk on Dynamite, because whenever he does, remember that first time we heard him talk ever on Dynamite, that thing with him and Mox where it was, like through a door, and how awesome that was.
Yeah, it was good.
He's great. The two Tony Khan things they've had on Impact have been great. I kind of like that he doesn't do a whole lot of talking, because when he does, I'm like, wow, he's really good. But then you don't hear from him for a while.
He needs Bischoff levels of screen time. He needs Bischoff levels of screen time.
It's a treat when we get to hear him talk. That's my attitude.
Yeah,
I'm thankful for what I get.
I like more. Why have a taste when you can have the whole meal?
Yeah. I guess so.
Speaking of meals, I wonder if they're going to celebrate with a steak meal by when WWE builds this Hall of Fame.
Maybe there'll be a restaurant attached.
That'd be is this in Stamford? Oh, it's in Orlando. Oh, Orlando. Let's go to Orlando and eat a steak meal out there. Let's go get some Wawa and go to the Hall of Fame.
There we go. Great idea.
This dusty ass Hall of Fame. Anyways, what's going on here? The Nature Boy Ric Flair showed up on ESPN's The Jump to chat about his gold robe
Dame 7 shoes.
Dame 7 sneaker collab. Are you going to do a review of those for Super
Yeah,
Kicks?
I ordered them.
Oh, nice.
It won't be on Friendo. It'll be right here and Going in Raw. It's wrestling, so I can do it here.
Okay. With Adidas and Let It Slip, the WWE may actually be building a physical Hall of Fame. So this is coming from the Nature Boy Ric Flair. So maybe grain of salt.
Maybe. These transcripts are from Fightful. So go ahead, Steve.
He says, I've had like 36 or 38 robes, and the gold one was one of my favorite robes. It is a beautiful robe.
It is.
WWE is actually in the process of building a Hall of Fame. Woo! A physical structure Hall of Fame in Orlando. It's been delayed, too, because of COVID. They wanted to put the robe in there as something I wore. They've been tremendous to me on so many different levels. Now I need something in the entertainment wing. Woo! So that's cool. Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. I won't make a trip to Orlando to go there, but if I find myself in the Central Florida area, sure, why not? I'll pay a visit.
Man, we went to the archive. That was pretty rad. We got to see a little
tantamount to going to a Hall of Fame, man.
We got to see a little bag of Pat Patterson's booking notes that were in address books over the past decades.
Fascinating.
Why didn't we just steal one of those, Larson? We should have just.
Well, that's theft. That's crime. That's why.
Nobody would have known. Boy, that'd have been scandalous. Anyways, we got also scandalous Wednesday Night Wars tonight. AEW is going to mop the floor again with NXT.
Yeah. Before we get started on this AEW preview, shout out to a friend of the show, James Willems. Announced today he's got a new show with Scorpio Sky called Wrestling with the Week. It looks great. Super excited for James.
Yeah, this is rad.
It looks awesome. Awesome.
I want to see him back in the square. When is he going to show up on Dark?
That's a good question.
James Willems versus Caljack.
Ooh.
On Dark. Let's get Caljack on Dark while we're at it. Anyways, Kenny Omega versus Joey Janela, a no DQ match. What is this match coming from? How's it? What was the setup?
Kenny challenged him when he was at the airport. He said he wanted a match with Joey Janela.
Was this on Twitter?
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter.
Okay.
I think it's because Joey was supposed to face him initially in the Eliminator tournament. But he had to step out, and Sonny Kiss, took Joey's spot. So now they're doing the match now.
All right.
Kenny and Joey had a really fun match on AEW Dark, like back when it first started.
Yeah, no, I kind of remember that. You got the entirety of the Inner Circle taking on the entirety of the Best Friends, plus Top Flight, Varsity Blondes, and Brandon Cutler. That's a lot of people.
14 people.
I don't know. It's too many to count. I don't know that number's correct.
It's 14. I
don't know that number's correct.
14. Anyways, we got another tag match. This time only 6 people in this bout. Got Hangman Page, John Silver, Alex Reynolds taking on Matt Hardy and Private Party.
There are, however, some singles matches, including Cody Rhodes versus Angelico. I wonder who's going to win that.
That's actually the only one. It's the only one.
You're right. That is correct. There is one singles match because after that we've got SCU, which is a tag team, versus the Acclaim, again, a tag team. Eddie Kingston addresses his enemies, probably Lance Archer, Serena Deeb and Big Swole, tag team, versus Ivelisse and Diamante. And then a tag team. Yeah, correct, tag team. And then a Dustin Rhodes interview, not a singles match.
Nor a tag team bout.
They love it. This is the lucha tradition of multi-man matches, endless multi-man matches.
So on NXT, we do have these are predominantly singles bouts.
We have a preview for NXT this week.
I know, and this was up early. So Kyle O'Reilly set to battle Peter Dune for an NXT title opportunity at New Year's Evil. I'm guessing Peter Dune gets this W. Also, Karrion Kross returns to action this week. Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm to clash in grudge match, and then the tag bout. Leon Ruff teams with Kushida to face John Gargano and Austin Theory. John.
That's cool. Right on. Looking forward to that as well.
Hey, let's do this. Predict AEW's number versus NXT's number.
Oh, that's just being mean. That's
Why?
just being, because you know what, man? These people at NXT, they're working very hard. It's not their problem.
I'm not throwing any shade. This is just a friendly little.
It's kind of mean-spirited, I think. Come on.
No mean-spirited.
The ratings mean nothing unless you're a TV executive.
18 to 49 demo. Let's predict that.
Don't care. I'm not a TV executive. It doesn't matter a lick.
It matters to the future well-being of the show. If the ratings dip too low, no ad revenue, you can say goodbye.
Well, my name's Bennett, and I ain't in it.
Anyways,
Anyways, thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Help support Going In Raw today by becoming a Friendo Club TV member. You'll get access to new bonus episodes every week, including Friendo Club Arcade, Live Power Rank, Vintage 10 for the Wins, and Ask Steven Larson. Get access to Friendo Club TV today by becoming a $5 and up patron at patreon.com/Steven Larson, by throwing us a sub at twitch.tv/Steven Larson, or by clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson.